See, that's One Foot Flipper's nonsense video.
Hi, Paige here, the One Foot Flipper. Today we're going to talk about a serious issue with reselling, and that's the issue of just throwing in the towel and quitting. Serious issue. I'm not quitting. I can't quit. I don't have the opportunity to quit, but a lot of other people are. Let's take ourselves a serious look at the current resale market. Sales are down across the board in nearly every category. Despite inflation, prices are also down across the board in every category. So everybody's selling less items for less money. That's because used merchandise prices lag far behind inflation. It takes people a long time before what they'll pay for something used, their mental used prices catch up to those new prices. In most cases, there can always be exceptions. And the number of sellers in every category is greatly increased over the last 3 years. In fact, we're currently in a situation where your middle class is greatly squeezed with increased prices on groceries and supplies, and they don't have nearly as much money to spend on lounge flies and fugglers and all that other stuff that ADH Dave always has and seems to know about, and that I only barely understand what they are. So a lounge fly is some sort of miniature backpack, right? Why would an adult want a miniature backpack? I don't get it. MC Freesale recently mentioned in a short that you shouldn't even be trying to sell to the middle class right now. The poor people are still poor, rich people are still rich. It's only the people who work for a living who are having problems right now. And maybe he's got a point there. People keep coming to me and saying, yo, Freesale, how do I keep selling in this bad downturn environment? It's real easy, dog. Stop trying to sell stuff to people who got jobs. All right, it is September 1st, a little bit past lunchtime, and like it does every year, September rolls around and my store wakes right up. I've got a great amount of sales here, despite the fact that I have barely listed anything in weeks. I've mostly just been cleaning. First thing I sold, I'll have to put it up on the screen because it's sealed in a box. Giant Pokemon Scarlet Violet lenticular poster. Lenticular means it's a different picture as you look at it from different angles. That sold for $111.55 to a customer who was concerned about condition, but he had bought items from me before and he was concerned about condition, and it worked out just fine. And there can't be any condition issues with this really because it's actually still sealed in the original promo box. Sold a lot of 4 Call of Duty PlayStation 2 games, $27 plus shipping. One of my better Goodwill bins finds recently, the Full House board game, $38.80. Actually, this did sell on eBay, but I actually did have this cross-listed a few places, so I had to take it down. Cross-listing has not worked out for me. Doesn't mean it won't work out for you, but it hasn't worked for me so far. Just listing some things on different websites, like I've done great with what I've listed so far on District Commons, has done great. Haven't done so well on DibDid or anywhere else, but on District Commons, I have. 5 packs of Horsing Around card sleeves, $8.47. We're also still coming off the COVID bubble of several years ago, which was not only the biggest online reselling boom ever, it's also the largest expansion of resellers ever. People jumped on the bandwagon because they saw the money was being made. Plenty of people found themselves unemployed, being paid massive amounts of money to be unemployed. Plenty of time on their hands, they turned to reselling. And then there's plenty of those involved in the Great Resignation who simply turned to resell, who never went back to work, and they eventually reinvented themselves as full-time resellers as well. So we've got twice as many people out there probably than we did 5 years ago. I personally came up as a full-time reseller during this time. I got out of the hospital from losing this leg right here the day before they started shutting things down for COVID. And a week later, I started selling my Magic card collection on eBay. I had sold previously off and on since the 90s, and I was actually managing a large eBay account for a retailer right before I lost the leg. But that was the moment where I personally went full-time, the day they started shutting things down for COVID. I sold some clothes, you know that's a rarity. Sold these women's Arizona jeans, size 9, boot cut. New with tags, $4.48. These got marked down for 2 years straight. Also, I don't think they were promoted either. I sold for $46.05 plus shipping to the same customer. Customer named Julie. Not sure if Julie is a viewer or not. I don't think it said repeat buyer, but she bought a Holly Hobby Colorforms dress-up set. And then 10 record albums, taking advantage of the buy two get one free that I've got on a lot of my record albums. I'll probably have to send 2 packages. We'll see how that works out, because these can go media mail, but Holly Hobby cannot. So Holly Hobby is not quite the right size for the record box anyway. She'd cause it to end up getting damaged. What do we got next? Duralast brake pads, rear brakes for Jeep Commander. I was going to do my own rear brakes, and then I just didn't, and I had the shop do it, and I held on to them for too long, so I couldn't return them, so I listed them on eBay to get rid of them. I'm not a mechanic, but I'm kind of decent at that sort of thing, but it's a lot harder now that I have one leg. Really, I only didn't end up doing my Jeep rear brakes because my truck that currently, my show truck that currently doesn't run, is sitting in the only flat spot where I could safely jack the Jeep up to do the rear brakes. And that would have required somebody to help me to push things out, and it was too much, so I never ended up doing it. Now, my channel causes me to do a lot of research on various reselling statistics, and one thing that is a constant: the average sale price of every category is down over the past few years, and the average number of sellers in every category is way up. And that increased number of sellers creates a natural downward price pressure in nearly every category. And there's no way to fight against downward price pressures in an open market. It's not like you're Coke and there's Pepsi and there's nobody else but RC fighting against you, and you can both just kind of hold your prices the same. It doesn't work that way. You've got hundreds or thousands of competitors. Refusing to lower your prices to the market prices just results in you getting no sales. You can't control market prices. And guess what? Nobody knows who you are. They're not paying up for your reputation, no matter how stellar it is. They've probably never heard of your reputation. And no one out there is looking for a premium used DVD buying experience. You're just selling run-of-the-mill stuff. Your name, reputation is meaningless. It doesn't matter. It's a commodity. No one knows who I am either. And I'm one of the social media 1%ers. You really got to get to something like the 1% of the 1%ers for that name to matter. For everybody else, it's not going to matter. All right, sold a whole bunch of Traveler RPG books to the same customer. I'm just going to show you all the covers and then go over the prices. The prices may not correspond to the covers. He bought all of them one at a time. $5.24, $58.28, $8.73, $7.76, $23.57, $26.19, 30 more of them, $11.64, $9.70. So overall, it was quite the order. Well, quite a whole bunch of separate orders, because like I said, bought every single one of them as separate orders, not even in a row. They were all spaced out over the course of 2 days. I'm assuming the guy probably just went on a binge buying Traveler stuff and not necessarily even realizing he was buying a lot from the same person. I'll put a photo up because brown boxes are boring. So Warhammer 40,000, Sisters of Battle Army. You know what? I'm not even going to put the picture up because it's just boring. This is a whole lot of Warhammer figures that are female Space Marine types. $125. They aren't actually Space Marines, though. They're something else. And the reason I'm not going to put the photo up is because none of the photos are really close up, so all you're going to see is a bunch of little figures. A Hewlett-Packard HP41C calculator with 2 memory modules, untested because it's got no battery pack. Sold for $99 with case. This also had a $150 other module inside it that I noticed before I listed the calculator, so I pulled that module out and sold it separately. And this was a Goodwill outlet find. Sold a Flames of War rulebook, $4.91. I think this is outdated at this point, which is why it took several years to sell. Star Wars Bounty Hunter, $5.82 to a repeat buyer. Probably not a viewer. What does all this even mean, though? I think it means in the current environment, reselling is just paying a lot less than it used to. You may or may not be experiencing this personally, though. If you had a few killer bulk buys, then that could make your entire year. You might not notice any difference. However, if you're out there grinding at the bins every single day to get enough items to sell that day, or even worse, if you're doing that and you've got an in-decline specialty, then your profits might be down severely, or you might find yourself working longer and longer hours just to keep up. Now, if you add all this up, then honestly, there has never been a better time to quit reselling than there is right now. If you've got a career you can go back to, yeah, it might be time to go back to that career. If you're a part-timer just doing it as a hobby, then it might be time to pursue another hobby for a little while. Or maybe just keep picking and ramp up your minimum pick quality if you truly enjoy it as a hobby. Or if you're pretty stable financially, then this is the perfect time to just slow it down. Slow down that reselling and fix everything else in your life. That's the category I'm in. I don't need to make any particular amount of money per month. I mean, we're not rich. We're nowhere near rich. Honestly, we're middle class, just barely. But because of my paid off house, paid off cars, moderate lifestyle means that it doesn't really matter how much I make. We're fine. So fix everything else in your life. Fix that squeaky door. Go through all your inventory. Clean everything out. It's likely that your labor is never going to be cheaper than it is right now. Knowing that my hourly returns are currently at a low has inspired me to both get everything in order in my business and in my home, and to go ahead and maybe try to get that second YouTube channel started. I certainly don't want to be spending my time on that sort of thing during a reselling boom time when I could be making $50 or even $100 an hour reselling. No, I'm going to do it now when I'm fighting for McDonald's money. Ooh, if I'm lucky, it's the same person who bought those other PlayStation games, then I can send them together. That would be nice. I sold a vintage Las Vegas jigsaw puzzle, $4.56 plus shipping. I paid $13.60 for shipping, so I'll probably keep a little bit of that money. Sold a Jeremy's razor, brand new unused razor with a pouch. Got this for, and the only reason it's even opened up is because I didn't know it was in the box. Sometimes friends just give me stuff that they're going to get rid of to see if I can sell it, and if I can't, I just get rid of it myself. And I had 3 of these and 3 pouches, but I had no idea what was actually in the box, so I had to open it, and it sold for $14. My wife got tired of using this. Tupperware, vintage 8 cup measuring, $7, and that sold in like 1 day. All right, that's all the sales I have for today so far. Maybe there'll be more later. Had a few sales on District. I actually put something for auction on District on Dibdit. Had a bag of G.I. Joe guys. They're all 2002 era. I never find G.I. Joe. I don't want to learn about G.I. Joe. I just don't care. It doesn't come up enough. I don't even remember where I got this. So I put it up for auction at $1. Sold for $15. Not bad. And on District Commons, I sold a box of 2,000 assorted trading cards. Most of this is stuff that I never processed from when I was a card specialist. Most of it is indeed good enough to be listed. So this seller will do fine on this once they actually list them. This was $100. All right, that's all I got on District for now. I'm not telling any of you out there to quit. But if you have to, or if you decide to quit, be it permanent or temporary, it doesn't mean you're some sort of failure. And it doesn't mean that you have to stop watching my videos either. It just means that you made the best decision for yourself. Remember how MC Hammer told us all he was too legit to quit? So he didn't quit. But then his career immediately went into a downward spiral. He's never recovered from it. Probably not relatable to what we're talking about, but I thought of it, so I said it. I personally don't even have the luxury of being able to make the decision to quit. There really isn't anything else I could do, given my disability, my general health, and my work history. Phone support from home is likely all I could get hired for. Now, if I had to choose between that and doing nothing, then I would probably choose nothing. Guess where I'm going with this is that things are down everywhere. It's not just you. People aren't waiting on the election before they make mundane purchases. This is a real long-term slowdown in the space, and it could possibly take a long time to recover. Of course, I could be completely wrong. It could all bounce back tomorrow. Okay, it's been an incredible weekend of sales. This isn't all of them. There were a couple other video segments. I don't know if they'll all be in this video or not. I'm editing differently now. But let's just take a look at them. Easily my best weekend in 6 months. I sold this Warhammer 40,000 Necron Canoptech Reanimator for $50. Not bad. I'm not going to open this up because it's taped together, but this is a Bachman Hawthorne Village Christmassy Civil War train that sold for $52.38. I almost didn't list this. It's a shilling Jack-in-the-Box. Wow, this is taking much longer than I thought it would. Sold for $8.73, and surprisingly enough, it sold in like a month. And this has a low sell-through rate too. Like I said, I almost didn't list it. Sold this Dungeons & Dragons branded Castle Ravenloft board game. Still sealed with a little bit of damage to the shrink wrap. Sold for $58.19. I paid $30 for this at a garage sale. I sold the for $14.01. I sold the phone numbers to 4 young men. Gary, Alan, Tony, and John. These go to the 1991 Mattel Electronic Dream Phone game. My Dream Phone that I got was put together from 2 sets, so there were a bunch of extra cards, and man, I have now almost sold out of all those extra cards at $4, at $3.75 to $4 each. I've only got 2 cards left, and they're not the boy phone number. They're very generic, like take an extra turn type of cards. So yeah, that just kept delivering for me. Blue Moon beer sign, $12.60. Don't remember where I got this. For all I know, it might have used to hung behind the bar. I don't remember. Sold 2 sets of Jeremy's razors, new razor with handle, and a toiletry bag. Each sold for $15. One of my buddies gave me these. He decided he didn't like the brand, so he didn't want them. Double Dragon 3, the Sacred Stones for the Nintendo, complete in box, minus the game itself. Sold for $87.30. With those Nintendo games, the boxes and manuals and everything else are always worth far more than the game itself is. Alright, that's all the sales we got for right now. Maybe come back, have something else a little bit later. Alright, hey, if you know somebody who's completely wrong, why don't you tell them about this channel? We'll have something in common. I could use the subs. Thanks, and hope to see you again soon.
See, that's One Foot Flipper's nonsense video.